We got a question from a viewer, and this viewer asks, if you're a felon, can you use your wife's gun to protect your home? Here to help us answer this question is top criminal defense attorney Tom Grief. Tom, thank you for being here again. And we'll make sure he gives us an answer that isn't just, it depends. But before we get into that, we have a gun giveaway going on. Everyone loves to hear about that, according to the comments section. It's going on right now, and you enter for free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. All right, Tom, here's the question in full. So, I need some understanding about the Second Amendment. Here are the facts. I live in Connecticut. I am a felon who lives with my wife who has no criminal record. I also live with my daughter. I understand that I'm not supposed to handle a firearm, but doesn't the Second Amendment allow me to defend my family in my home if we're in grave danger by using her gun? Would my wife get in trouble if I used her gun? So actually, two questions, Tom. Did you get all of that?
Got it all.
And I know Connecticut law, different than Wisconsin law.
Right.
So I'll say it for you. Check your local listings. If you're in Connecticut, get yourself, Connecticut law book, one of the blue books or something like that.
Right. Yeah, one of those colors.
Yeah. So where do we go with this?
Well, and I'm not allowed to use the D word depends. And it would be probably a little too lawyerish for me to use the M word maybe.
Yeah.
So, look, here's what it boils down to. I'm going to say yes, and then I'll qualify it, right? Because maybe that'll be better.
Wait a minute. Yes what? Yes, would he get in trouble? Or yes, can he use the gun?
Yes, he can use the gun if local law for him or wherever he might be, if not in Connecticut, allows some sort of necessity privilege in order to possess the firearm for purposes of a lawful self-defense encounter.
Yeah.
And it's not handling. I just want to tweak something. And this is a very important tweak for him, for the question asker, as well as anyone else. Generally speaking, the felon in possession of firearm laws, we're not talking about physically handling the weapon that you're prohibited from. We're talking about a blanket prohibition against possession. What's the difference between handling and possession? If I sit down at a dinner table at a friend's house, and first time I've been invited over, I don't know what's at that dinner table, and they've got a salt shaker and a pepper shaker in the middle of that table. I've never seen that before. I certainly have never touched that before. But if I sit down at that table, I see it, it's accessible to me, I am now in possession of that. Okay. That's the general gist to possession. And if we're physically touching it, that's possession or handling it. If it's within our reach and within our knowledge, then we're talking about what's called constructive possession. And a lot of our possession laws are driven by drug laws because, when the fuzz pulls someone over,
Fuzz.
I knew I could get you to laugh. When the fuzz pulls someone over, right, and there's cocaine in the trunk, it never seems to belong to someone.
Nope, not mine.
It's just the cocaine gods are just gifting everyone just cocaine. So the
These
laws
aren't even my pants.
These aren't even my pants. These are my cousin's pants. I don't know how they got on me. Right. So all of those possession laws are basically driven by drug issues. It's just, if you look at the case law, that tends to be the way that goes. So that's the reason why felon in possession of a firearm, you don't have to be physically touching that firearm if you have knowledge of it, if you've got access to it. And what does access mean, by the way? Well, that's where it can get pretty tricky. If there's a gun safe in your closet and it's a combo safe, I have seen law enforcement make arguments that, well, how do I know he doesn't have the combination?
Well,
and of course,
told you he didn't know the combination.
He told you,
He
right?
wouldn't lie.
Case over. I have seen law enforcement check for DNA, fingerprints, hair follicles on the inside of a gun safe in order to prove access to the gun safe. Okay. So I have seen that happen before. It's rare, but I have seen it. So that's a data point that I want to throw out there for YouTube of, look, they can go to this extreme. Now, if you do not have a necessity privilege or a necessity defense available to you in your state, and I would bet that most folks do, because that's a reasonably kind of common. There's a handful of what we call privileges under the law, and sometimes they're created by statute. Sometimes they're created by common law. They're usually turned into statutes from common law, and that's exactly what self-defense is. It's, yeah, I shot him, but I was privileged to do so. Yeah, I possess that firearm, but necessity. right? And there's a handful of these, and those are just 2 of them. So they're pretty boilerplate, for lack of a better way of putting it, as far as states go, in my experience. But don't make that assumption. I'm not the person who'll be doing the prison time for you. If you don't have some sort of privilege or something like that, then yeah, it might be illegal in your particular state.
So it strikes me as kind of odd that you may be privileged to use this gun if you are required, this necessity defense, so to speak. But let's just make this as both clear and convoluted as I can at the same time. This is going to be
You're thinking like an attorney.
Yeah. So there's the little portable gun safe with the 4-digit lock on the top. You happen to know the combination. That means you're in possession of that gun. If you're a felon and that is in front of you and you know the gun's in there, but if you don't touch it, is anybody going to ask the question or say you're in possession of the gun? Because I guess technically, if your probation officer or parole officer or whatever did a home visit and there's the gun safe and it's right there and you know it's there, that's felon in possession of a firearm. But then if that gun is there in the safe and bad guy is bashing down the door and gets hung up and can't get through, and you have time to get that gun, get it into action, shoot the bad guy before he kills everyone in the house, now you're okay.
Short answer, and I can't use depends or maybe, is...
well, you can this time. People, they'll comment.
I can this.
They'll
okay,
comment.
We'll let the comment field go nuts on this one.
Yep.
Maybe depends.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Let's just fire up those keyboards, right?
Yeah.
I can hear the clicking already. So, look, you're touching on a lot of different things all at the same time in that question, which is why I think you worded it that particular way.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. If folks who didn't know, this is Kevin twisting the knife is what this is.
Well, I'm just making sure that you earn your hourly rate.
Okay.
If there's a felon with a gun in a gun safe at his home in Connecticut.
In Connecticut,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Let's
So-
not forget the Connecticut. So, okay. So let's go back to the probation officer issue or that situation. They'll have to prove that you have knowledge and access.
Yep.
So if your probation officer shows up for the home visit or your off-duty cop buddy or whatever the case may be, and you say, hey, by the way, there's a firearm in there. The combination's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I haven't accessed it or I haven't touched it, but there it is. It's within my reach, and I've got the combination. It's really going to be up to the discretion of local law enforcement as to what they want to do. And I have seen situations, or rather situations have been relayed to me, let's put it more like that, where, you know what, I'm not saying that they're going to turn a blind eye, but maybe they've got better things to focus on. Mm-hmm. And I've also seen situations where you're coming with them.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's going to be driven by the context, right? If they've had a ton of, if you're a known individual to them, right?
Frequent flyer.
And you're that person where, your address is, a cop's going to be there by midnight on Saturday night, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't get that break.
Yeah.
If you're a good guy, you made some mistakes when you were a teenager, but you know what? You're in your 40s, married, kids, you've been paying taxes. To be clear, I am 0% suggesting people to break the law. Let me be very clear of that. Yep. But I'm explaining, in my experience, how law enforcement will sometimes process and look at a situation. Are they more inclined to give you a break? Yes. Are these sorts of breaks actually defenses? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. These are not defenses in court. Okay, right. Let me be very clear of that. These might be what we call mitigation, as opposed to aggravation. In other words, do you get probation on the outcome, or do you get 5 years prison, or whatever the case may be, right? Mm-hmm. That's aggravating versus mitigating factors. Yeah. Defenses versus no defenses is, do you get convicted, do you not?
Yeah, and maybe the easy button on this is don't commit that original felony in the first place. But
there is that.
That's not always. I was going to say that's not always possible. Yes, it's possible because you have that choice. No, I'm not going to. Whatever.
People are different people. Or at least many people are.
Yeah.
In their 30s, 40s than they were in their teens.
Yeah,
20s.
and a young person getting caught up in some. Hit my microphone. Sorry. And a young person getting caught up in some what I will call strange or ending up being felonious situation. Yeah, and it does tend to follow you around, and it is a convoluted area of the law because that you can run into some very serious trouble and end up catching another felony case, and
You can.
that's not good for anybody.
And then it piles up, and in many jurisdictions, they'll have minimum sentencing guidelines for felon in possession of a firearm. That's 2 years prison.
Yeah.
Sorry, doesn't matter if you were, you know, you got some sort of burglary because you and your buddies broke into someone's cabin to steal some liquor when you were 18.
Yeah.
And now you're convicted felon, and now you're 60 years old, never been in trouble, not even a speeding ticket, a parking ticket your entire life. You've raised a family, you've paid your taxes. You get one of those so-called zero tolerance laws with mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines.
Yeah.
If you get hooked up by law enforcement and charged,
Yeah,
that is what it is.
Becomes a serious issue.
It is.
Well, thank you again, as always, for your insight, Tom. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for helping out. And yeah, you said it depends, and we'll hear about that in the comments section. But it truly does. It's, you know, I go back to the totality of the circumstance. That's why the law is the way it is, and that's why we have lawyers so that we can interpret it.
And I will personally, I don't know when this video is going to go live. There's always a bit of a delay between when we shoot and when we launch. But I promise I will personally look through the comments and click like on as many comments talking about it depends or maybe. I'm going to do that from my own YouTube account. So it's coming.
All right. Well, thank you very much again, Tom. And folks, thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. Quick reminder again, we have that gun giveaway going on. So click the link in the description to learn more. I'm Kevin Michalowski. If you enjoy guns, freedom, and everything concealed carry, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.